Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 50 Shades of Tay. I'm Taylor Gonzalez, and my guest today plays Killer in the upcoming horror film Viral Haunt. I have Tai White with me. Tai, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks so much for being here. I'm so curious about your character because I was looking up on IMDb and it's listed as Killer,
Mhm.
and that to me is so interesting. What can you tell me about your character without giving too much away?
Well, I am the haunt of viral haunt, right?
Mhm.
I can't tell you too much about like what my character is all about, like what motivates him, but I can tell you that he is the killer, and that he's killing people.
Oh, nice. All right, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very exciting. How did you get attached to this project?
I just threw backstage.
Oh, nice. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, since you're a killer, but we can't say too much about that role, do you have some favorite iconic killers in horror that come to mind, like Ghostface or Freddy Krueger or anything like that?
The first thing that came to mind is American Psycho, Christian Bale
Oh,
in American Psycho. I think that that's such a cool movie because it's like it's saying something, you know what I mean? And I
hmm.
think that's what kind of sets really like good horror from great horror, like when it has a message and when the fear that it's getting at is something in the unconscious of the culture. And I think that there's a little bit of that um, in this movie as well, because you've got these sort of shallow influencer types coming into this environment that they're not prepared for, and then they kind of get what's coming to them.
Oh, nice. Well, when getting into character for Killer, did you do any kind of research, like watch any other horror films, or how did you prepare for this?
No, my main, I mean, really, it's mainly movement-based
Hmm.
storytelling is what my character is all about, because like that's at the heart of like the acting work that this entailed, because I don't have any lines, and and I'm not sure if I can talk about my costume so much, but I had to do a lot of storytelling through movement, and I just relied on my training for that. Other than that, I just needed to be clear about what my objectives were going into each scene, which a lot of the time was just to kill a certain target. But then some things came up like pride. I realized that there's my character was sort of prideful and has a bit of an ego, and so that can change his priorities within a scene. And yeah, just trying to understand, yeah, like his backstory a little bit. I didn't really model it off of any other killers or anything like that.
Oh, that's so interesting though, because one of my favorite horror performances in recent years is David Howard Thornton in the Terrifier franchise, and he also doesn't have any dialogue. So I just think it's really cool, and also you get really creative with the kills and also, the movements, like you were saying, when you don't get to speak.
Yeah, and I also think that there's a lot of horror movies where when they reveal the monster or
Mm,
whatever it is, it loses its mystery and it suddenly is not as scary anymore. I
mm.
think that this movie does a good job of maintaining the mystique around the killer and making sure that he's sort of this larger than life presence throughout.
Oh, nice. Yeah, now I'm like even more curious about your character and your role than I was before we started this interview. So I am very much looking forward to see what you get to do. How did you get your start in acting?
Um, I don't know. I went to Berkeley. I got a BA in theater and performance studies from UC Berkeley, and then I went from there to grad school at Lambda, where I got a master's in classical acting. And then I just, yeah, started trying to get work
Oh,
here.
that's awesome. Well, what do you remember from the very first day on set? Did you have any special memories that stick out from like when you first met everybody?
I think my the biggest impression was just like the house that we were filming in,
Ooh.
because it was like a proper mansion, like, and it had like it's an old home too,
Mhm.
so there's like rooms for like the servants and everything. Like there was a whole room that had like six beds, or like, yeah, like lined up in a row, and you're like, okay, that's where the servants would live. And then like you see like the bigger rooms, and it's just like a huge house. I was like,
Oh,
whoa, that.
that's so cool.
And just, yeah, just meeting everybody and kind of putting faces to names and everything.
Mhm. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I have heard a lot about the filming location, so I'm very excited to get to see that on screen as well.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's good to like, rather than be working in like a studio or like in a built set, to actually be working in like a mansion, so that everything looks, sturdy.
Yeah,
Yeah, thrown together. Yeah.
that's so cool. Well, since this movie deals with ghosts and with the supernatural, I was wondering, is that something that you believe in?
Ah, that's a good question. Um, I definitely believe in like a higher power. I think the best like way that I could describe my beliefs in terms of like the supernatural. Have you seen Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh yeah, I love that show.
So like this the spirit world,
Mhm.
that is sort of along the lines of what I believe in. I believe
Okay.
that the material world and like the spirit world are sort of, they exist like at the same time,
Mhm.
and they're connected, and that the spirit world is like the world of symbols and metaphors and things like that, and like that's where like the mind of the people, like the culture, like it exists in the spirit world, you know and so you can have like the spirit of adventure, or you could have the spirit of the ocean, you know what I mean? Like you can feel, when you go to the ocean, you can feel the spirit of the ocean, you know I won't get too much into it, but like, yeah, kind of like that.
So
But I
cool.
don't know. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I like believe in like proper like ghosts or
Mm.
anything like that.
Well, while you guys were filming in the giant mansion, did you happen to experience anything that was creepy or unusual?
No, no. Everything was very like controlled, and it was like a copacetic environment. Yeah, it wasn't. There wasn't any. Yeah, no. I felt safe.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So, outside of this acting role, are you a huge horror fan yourself?
Um. No, I'm
No.
not. I gotta say, like, I'm a fan of film.
Hmm.
So some horror movies are just so good that like I gotta watch them, because they're just really great movies. Um, but that's like Midsommar and Hereditary are great examples. Get Out. I also really like Mother. I don't
Hmm.
know. Have you seen Mother? I
Hmm.
really like that one. Um, and I can't wait to see Nosferatu. That
Oh
one.
my God. It's good. It's so good.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I loved it. I saw it the day after Christmas.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that one.
Yeah.
But that's just because it's like a brilliant, these it's just brilliant movies. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I when I was little, I couldn't watch horror movies at all.
Oh,
I
really?
couldn't handle. Yeah, no, I couldn't handle it. I was scared. The first movie I ever saw in theaters was The Incredibles,
Oh, cool.
and I like broke down in tears because I was so scared of the explosions. Like I could not, I would not be able to handle like The Conjuring or whatever it would have been. Yeah.
Gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I think my whole life I've always been into horror. I don't think there's ever a point where I was like scared of it, but I will say that the horror films are much scarier in a theater than when you're watching them at home. Especially like
Mm.
the stuff like Paranormal Activity when you're just in a
Oh,
huge dark room and you don't
yeah.
know what to expect. And I think also a part of it is when you're at home on the couch watching a horror film, you're in your normal environment, so you're comfortable and like the layout, but when you're in a theater, it's a place you're not normally in and you're not, used to the people walking behind you or other noises you might hear. So I think it just like takes you out of your element when you're watching a horror film in a theater.
I think you're right, and I think that's also why I'm not gonna be seeing Nosferatu in theaters. I'm gonna wait till it comes out on streaming, and I'm gonna watch it under my covers. And yeah,
Oh my gosh. No, I think you'll really like it. It was really good. And some of the cinematography in it like blew my mind just how they got some of these shots. It just looks
yeah,
so gorgeous.
it looks beautiful from like the trailer and everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, such a good film. I was also curious if this role leads to other roles and you could have any kind of dream role. Is there something out there that you really want to portray or a character you really want to have on screen?
I can't say that there is. I mean, I am often surprised by the roles that I really like playing
Mhm.
and surprised by the ones that kind of don't do it for me. Like I recently played a reverend who is like very buttoned up and straight laced and preachy and pious and like superior to everybody around him. And that's so different from who I am. And it's not something that I would have thought I would have enjoyed playing. But when I was actually getting to play that part, I found myself just having so much fun being like this like straight like somebody who's so different from me, and it can really allow me to like go on that journey towards that character and figure. And then sometimes I'll play a character who I feel like, oh, this is just like me. This is right up my alley. And then I just kind of won't be as like engaged by it, I guess. But I'm often surprised, I
Yeah.
guess, by the I want to play a role that hasn't been written yet and I don't know it, but then when I read the script I'm like, wow, what's this? You know what I mean? I want to be surprised.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's how I would be too, because you never know what to expect, and when you get the right script or you get something, it's probably something you wouldn't even have thought existed on your own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess maybe a cop out answer would be like I want to play parts that I write for myself.
Okay.
Um, because I want to like write and produce and everything. But yeah, I just want to play characters that excite me and
Mm.
that interest me.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great answer. And if there's someone who's watching this interview right now and they themselves are curious about getting into acting, but they're not really sure how to get their start, what advice would you give to them?
Ooh, that's a good. Oh, that's not a short uh, answer for that. Um, I think just I'm gonna go a practical route. You need to get footage for your reel. So whether that's doing high quality self tapes at home, or whether that's paying for time in studios, or whether that's doing short films, you need to put together a reel that you can then send to casting directors directly. When you get IMDb Pro and you see the projects that casting directors are working on currently and will be working on, and if it seems right for you, you email them, you say, here's a little bit about me, here's my reel, and I think I'm right for this project. And then you do that hundreds of times and you might hear back. And that's how
Mhm.
you establish relationships with casting directors. So, yeah, I could have said something probably more wholesome, but that's like practically what you got to do.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I've been talking to a lot of other actors, and something that they all seem to have in common is number one, yeah, getting footage and just starting, just do it because the more you just think about it, it's not
Yeah.
actually happening. And then also, I think it's interesting, like, I would say it's like 50-50 between people who go to school specifically for acting or who just get involved with like local theater or local productions and just start. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I, I, I trained extensively in an academic setting.
Mhm.
But I have after having done that, it's like it's not for everybody, and some people really flourish in that environment, and then some people feel limited by it.
Mhm.
So if you think it's best to like maybe do a short course with a showcase at the end, that could be a really good way of doing it. But
Mhm.
really, you're not going to learn any more or any better than when you're just working on a project. And I think that's something that drama school provides because you're always working on a project, which is great, and that's not guaranteed
Yeah.
in the real world. But yeah, you learn a lot on just the shop floor.
Mhm. No, I totally agree. But Ty, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day to join me. Where would be a good place for people to follow you and keep up with all your upcoming projects?
Probably Instagram. So at Tai_White WHITE_. That's me.
Perfect. I'll make sure to put a link to your Instagram in the description of this video so people can come and follow along. But Ty, thank you again, and I am so excited to see this film when it comes out. And I'll be keeping my eyes out for any updates on the film. Very excited for it.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you and have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.